Hey guys, welcome back to Infinite Math Help Squared. This video is basically part 2 of a previous video, and in that previous video we went over patterns with exponential graphs. I said if you forgot your patterns, then all hope is not lost. You just have to plot points. And we talked about making a quick table of specific x values of -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. And that was for all of them. So I'll do 2 examples here. And we're going to, we see the graph here, but I'll highlight the plots for us so that you could see that you'll still be able to plot them and connect it without something being shown to you. The calculator that I'm using, in order for me to calculate e to the x any power, then I am going to have to, here, let's highlight this a little bit, right? I have to hit the shift key, then I have to hit the ln key, because you can see that there is right there in the top left corner, it says e to the x. So if I hit shift and then e to the, and then ln, so that it shows me e, then I just type 1. You only have to type 1 because the function, the calculator, is doing e to the x for you. So you don't have to do the caret, and there's no box here. There are other calculators that will put a box in the top right-hand corner for you, and then you just put your power. Okay, once I'm done, then I hit my equal sign, and then it's going to pop out this number right here, which is the estimate. So let's go 2 places after the decimal so that we're all on the same page for now. So if I put 0 in here for x, anything to the 0 power is 1. So 0 and 1. If I put a 1, which you can see on the calculator, then I have 2.72, and that's not a comma, that's a decimal point. Okay, so let's go to the calculators and let's do e to the 2nd power. So your calculator might be a little bit different, but we should still get the same values, so it should be 7.39 if we estimate to 2 places after the decimal. And then let's do e to the -2. For the negative, make sure that you use your calculator's negative sign, not the subtraction sign. It's usually on the left-hand side or the bottom. And I got 0.14. And then for x is -1, 0.37. Okay, so now let's highlight these on the graph. So 0, 1 is the obvious one, right? It's right there. So if you had a blank grid, you would plot your 0, 1 right there. 1 and then close to 3, right? It's more than 2.5, but it's like 2 3/4, right? So I don't have that. Excuse me. I don't have that. Yes, I do have that on my graph. It says 1, comma, and then very close to 3, but not quite there, right? And then 2 we can't do, but -1 we can do. -1 and almost 0. Oh, so then that's gotta be wrong. No, it's almost a half. That's great. That is actually great. Because it's not quite halfway, but it's almost there. And then -2, and that's even closer to 0. So there you go. You would plot it, and then you would just connect it, and you'd be okay, even though you don't have your patterns memorized. If you can memorize your patterns, then you can do well with a multiple choice question, or let's do this one. Or you can anticipate what your graph will look like and do a rough sketch. Okay, let's do the same thing. And hopefully you get the hang of it. Okay, so same thing. If I plug in 0, right, anything to the 0 power is 1. But this one is times a -1. So we're going to have to enter, when you get your answer, you're just going to multiply by -1. So we have 0 and -1, which is right here. Okay, let's do the next one. Let's do, if we put a 1 there, we already know from up here that if we plug in a +1 and we're not multiplying by a negative, then we're going to get 2.72. However, this one is actually going to be the opposite of 1. So this is going to look like this. Let's, that way you can see what's happening. I put the 1 here. So now this is actually e to the -1, which we had right here. And we have to multiply that by a -1. So we have a -0.37. Okay, now how about if you put in the 2, that's e to the -2 now, which we had up here, and you multiply by a -1, so it's -0.14. Not a coincidence, because remember we were reflecting, and that's how those are the patterns. That's part of the pattern. And you see those points up here, actually, if you want to do this simultaneously, right? Here's 1, and then you just drop down to almost a -1/2, but not quite there. And then 2, -0.14. So roughly half of a -1/4, right? Okay, and now we just have a couple more to go. So let's change this. And we have -1 times e to the opposite of -1. So you got to be careful here. So this is actually just -1 times e to the 1, which we could come back up here. And we can see that when we plugged in 1, we got the 2.72. So multiply that by a negative, and you have -2.72, which is right here. Almost -3, right? Okay, last one. So we have, we're plugging in -2, which means the opposite of a -2 is a +2. And we did that up here also. E to this, e squared was right here, 7.39, but we take the opposite sign. Okay. And if we go to the graph, last one, -2, and actually it's off my graph, so I can't plot that, but it's like somewhere further down. But you get the point. You would be, these 4 points was enough for you to get the curve that you need and be accurate. Okay? Hopefully that was helpful and helps you get your graphing going for your exponential functions. Till next time.